Oh, manatees, AKA the sea cow. Oh, there's one.
Manatees in novelty teas? Surprising.
What's come at me, bro?
It's something you say to a friend.
What's not surprising? How much money Matt saved.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pinedo Brothers Podcast. My name is JP. My brother Peter, again, is not able to join us. He's out learning how to serve and protect our country a little bit better at Bulk. But we've got a great guest that I will be introducing here shortly. Before we do that, PinedoBrothers.com is live. We have some great materials on there for everyone to check out. If you sign up there, you'll get a sneak peek at our upcoming web series, something that our guest has actually helped us out with a bit in the past. Without any further ado, on to our guest, Mr. Mike Holley. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, was I on camera that whole time, or do I have the camera? Like when you were doing the intro, am I just like staring up into space? I'm like, hey, I didn't know I was here.
Well, you were, if you made noises, Zoom might have put you on camera. You never can be completely sure until you're looking at the recording.
Gotcha. Okay. Because that's always like, that's the thing that like drives me crazy. Like in these reality shows, when people like open the door, like, who are you? When the camera's in the house, it's like, you're doing a TV show. And so I don't want to be like, oh, hey, James. Good. We've been talking. We're set. So I don't. Yeah.
Okay, folks. If you guys haven't realized by now, Mike Holley is a comedian. That's one of his many talents, and particularly an improv comedian who works quite a bit in the improv community in Los Angeles. Weekly shows still going on, or with COVID, is that?
No.
COVID kind of killed.
And as I put it, like even if you put a show on, people don't want to come out. So it has been, some folks are just raring to be out, and some folks are like, you still can't pull them out. So I haven't even offered a show. Yikes. I've offered class, but no shows at all. I'm chomping at the bit, and part of me is like, just do it. And if no one comes, then, you'd spend a couple bucks to rent a theater. But no, it's just, and some people like, one of my buddies, like, comedy's dead, and I'm glad. So he's, Luke, the other Texan also, he said he's not coming back to our team. So I don't know what's going to go on.
Oh my gosh. Comedy is dead. That's what you're, wow. This could be a little bit of a depressing conversation.
Yeah. He tell you, like, he just walks away. Comedy's dead. Glad. I'm going to get me a hamburger. And I'm like, oh, I disagree.
Just give me a bullet and a bottle of bourbon is what he sounds like. Well, okay. I'm glad that you're still teaching, at least, because I wanted to have this conversation, not because just I wanted to talk to an improv comedian that's hilarious that I am also good buddies with, but also because I wanted to know if improv can make me more confident, because in this day and age, confidence is really necessary to get by. But maybe we get to that a little bit later. To start off with, can you tell me, how'd you get started in improv, Mike?
I started... I was doing the San Francisco Comedy College up in San Francisco doing actual stand-up. And then we had a guy come in and start teaching improv. And as these stories go, I hated it. I didn't understand it. I had never seen it before. I was confused. We, as stand-up comedians, we were younger, bunch of males, stand-up comedians who are used to just being on stage by themselves. So all of our jokes were just stupid, bathroom humor. There was no, like, if somebody was like brushing their teeth in a sink, somebody had to go pee in it, or whatever. And it makes me cringe thinking, but that's what it did. Like I was just the guy like, ooh, what's the next joke? And it's like, no, you're doing a scene, you're working together. And as stand-ups, we were like, what does together mean? It's like I stand up alone. So I just was part of that fold. We had another female trying to teach us out of the Bay Area Theater Sports Bats. And she walked out of the room crying. She's like, I can't do a thing with you, idiot, And so I'm so sorry, like, we'll do better. But I just didn't like it, didn't understand it. And then years later, moved to Los Angeles, dropped the whole stand-up comedy. It was another career altogether. So I focused on acting, and I was like, let's do improv, because this should help me in my career, and I don't want to do it. It frightens me. So all those, people always say yes kind of thing, like the Yes Man Jim Carrey movie, do what frightens you, all that stuff. So I started doing it down here at now defunct IO West, Improv Olympic.
Yeah. For folks that aren't from LA, IO West is kind of one of the big players in the improv scene, a strong undercurrent of comedy in general, really, where a lot of big names came out of, especially for like Saturday Night Live and things like that. Correct, Mike?
Yeah, mostly that was like Chicago was like Chicago Second City and Chicago IO, and then a lot of like folks spilled over to Los Angeles. And but yeah, IO Improv Olympic Chicago is defunct also now, but supposed back. And then we've lost one of the UCBs here. We've lost the iOS here. Whew. So, but yeah, iOS was very much like what I called home. I loved their style, and it was just a bar and 3 theaters on Hollywood and right down from Cahuenga on Cosmo.
Yeah, I remember going there.
Yeah. Hollywood, for those of you that don't know, is a section of town of Los Angeles where Tinsel is located. Tinsel and homeless and drugs, tents. It's more tent town than Tinsel town at this point. Pardon my morning coughs, James, and all the viewers. I cough in the morning. Yeah, it's a different world. I am wondering, what's going to go on with comedy, with Hollywood, with all the stuff. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, to back up a little bit, maybe. What did you see as? Well, okay. Maybe you didn't see it. Maybe you just did it because it was fun. But is there anything that's important that you see about improv? And if so, why or why not?
Yeah, I definitely, and when I teach, I'm not teaching actors usually. I'm teaching teachers. It's been lawyers, IT. And so my whole sort of thing is, as you mentioned earlier with the confidence, like when I do teach at LA City College, like the blurb is like, do you have, golly, I don't remember now. But it's like, do you have to do speeches at work? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Like, do you have to get up in front of people? Come to me. So there definitely is a lot of stuff in teaching improv, and it's not, I've come to realize it's not what you think as much. It's not so much you will have tools in your holster to kind of work with, but also I think just improvising and scene work and all that, and falling down on your face, but then you stand back up. Like learning to take that jump and it doesn't go well teaches you there is nothing, you're not going to get hurt, like teaching the failures, the fallings, the problems, and knowing you can get back up, I've come to find out is so much more important than here's what I've learned, these bits and this thing and this and that. It's like just, because you failed before. Yes, I have. Are you still here? Are you bleeding? Are you hurt? Anything? No, I'm not. Then you may fail again and you're fine. Like that's really what I think has come out of it.
That's so key. That's so interesting because especially now I sense that failure is so it's verboten. It's like you cannot say anything that might offend anybody. You cannot do anything that might offend anyone. And even if you weren't motivated by trying to hurt anyone, that still doesn't matter. Motivations don't matter. So what improv gives is maybe a sense that, well, hey, I'm not dead. Like you said, it's a more interpersonal, it's a more interior import than exterior. It's like, I'm stronger than what I thought I was.
I think, that's a good way of putting it. The interior versus, because a lot of people want like come do improv because like I want to be faster, I want to do this, I want to do that, and that's like the exterior, which I think it can certainly provide. A lot of it, I just feels like it's this Cro-Magnon man in ice. like you just chip away and then he comes out, he's able to jump around and all that. And it's like, it was always there, ice around you of, I don't know how to, I don't want to, I judge myself. Before anything comes out of my mouth, it's gone through 3 filters saying this is wrong, this is stupid. So no. And then this is just like improv is kind of, help in the training and in the practice of it. Yeah. It's like, this has allowed you to melt that exterior. And now you can be more of you without all of you telling you can't do it. I should be writing it down. This is going to be my new bylines for class. You're going to get the LACC, there's going to be like a book now because it's just all me writing all this stuff. Yeah.
Well, Mike, exactly. Don't worry. You'll get a recording of this. So
record it? Oh, no. Yeah.
So
yeah.
How is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it definitely is that interior and exterior. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. But how is this different from stand-up in a way? Like, what are we learning? What kind of different qualities are we taking away?
Yeah, the big thing I think is definitely is teamwork. And stand-up, like I said before, you are the writer, you're the director, you're the everything. So like when I did stand-up, it's me. And if I'm on stage and I'm doing well, that's me. If I'm on stage and I'm doing poorly, it's me. It's all you. You've written, you've done it. Collaborative, sure, maybe off stage, maybe you write with a partner, maybe whatever. But improv is you are there as a team. At least what we do long form comedic improv. There's short form, there's games, sports, like Whose Line Is It Anyway, that kind of short form stuff. The stuff I teach, in essence, a team of 4, 8 people, 6, whatever, will get one suggestion from the audience, and then from that suggestion they build 15, 20-minute show with no stops, no editing, no anything else. So you are working with teammates, and your teammates sometimes help you, sometimes they don't. The goal always is to help your teammate, push the story forward, push the characters bigger, whatever it is. So yeah, that would be the big thing. Like one thing I've noticed, and not to get too inside baseball, but like auditions out here in Los Angeles, if you're in an audition and there's a bunch of improvisers in the waiting room, it's just bits and talking and chatting. And then, hey, what do you do? All these like just goofiness. I've also been to auditions where there are multiple stand-ups and just the posture of stand-up is back and the attitude. And it's like, hey, you've done that, ha club. Yeah, it's stupid. You're terrible. I'm just kidding. But it's very much, they're all New York apparently. But it's just like it just, closed arms and, stand-up is very much like protected. Because I do this myself where improv is like, play with me, like a golden retriever,
That's fascinating. Yeah, the shows that I've seen you do, that's very much how it is. You're there to you're not there, what I perceive is when you're in one of your shows, you're trying to make the other person funny more than you're trying to make yourself funny. And then the other person is trying to do that for you. Like on teams that work well, which is completely opposite from stand-up, obviously. You're there for the express reason of being funny, or else you're not supposed to be there.
Exactly, yeah. Then that's what you said is almost line for line what we learned at I.O. is to make your partner look like a genius. Whether it's not necessarily always the character, the character they're playing.
They could be an idiot.
Exactly. And then doing that and making the character more of an idiot makes then the actor. Because there's definitely been shows I've watched, those I've been a part of, where people have said, oh, that was so funny when you did or said that. I'm like, I didn't do that. That was my partner that said I did that or put that on me. And it makes you look, like a genius, whatever is going on. And it's amazing. I mean, just everything, like just the backdrop folds away and you see the car they're in or the castle or whatever's going on. And just that world building goes on. But yeah, if your partners are working with you and for you as we should.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any time I've seen anyone purposefully not do it, but just sometimes you just, especially at the beginning, People aren't quite sure working, how to build their partners up and all of that. But it's teamwork quickly. And if you don't want to play, which it's actually called when you improvise, it's called playing. Then you pretty quickly, I think, get out of it. So you fall into these, like, this is what we're trying to do here. And, go from there. So, yeah,
that's, I admire that quite a bit. I admire, so not just the teamwork, but the courage that it takes. Stand-up and improv comedy both are terrifying prospects. Like for someone like me, especially, I'm a very private person. So how do you deal with, I guess I have a two-part question. How do you deal with that fear? And then maybe you can teach me a little bit after that about some, like, just confidence in general, how you're able to express that at least enough to get up there and keep trying.
Yeah. The fear part, I'd say this because I have a bunch of examples that come to my mind, but also just once someone has signed up, they've already done, and then people think like, oh, you just have to, you're my coach, you're my teacher, you have to say this. And I'm like, no, believe me, I know the fear. I took it because I felt I should. And there were so many times, like before class, when I went to IO, I'd sit there and before class, I'd be like, okay, today I'm just going to, when the teacher asks for like the volunteer, I'm just going to jump up there. Like, I'm just going to force myself to be in that group because otherwise I'll sit back too long, So, I mean, it was very nerve wracking for me. So I tell people, like, the fact you've signed up, like you're willing to be here. I did have one time, one gal was on stage with another, this was me teaching improv at an acting class. That's right. And she was on stage and she's like, I don't know what, and she starts like crying. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm sitting there going, like, this is the pivotal moment where she then now drops acting forever or whatever. But I was like, here's the deal. I said, you're fine. You can breathe. You're on stage. There's no audience. There's no show, nothing. Like, just take a breath. You are absolutely fine. What are you trying to do here? So like, I let her put in her own words and all that, and like give her a minute, and then I said, okay, now this is like the idea of your scene. This is what you're doing. Your partner, just start talking, explain that or whatever. And then everything went fine. Like, it's just part of that fear was just, one, it's like, it's such a big deal. And it's not. I tell people, like, if you're doing a big audition, sure. If you're doing a big show, sure, there's excitement and fear and all that. And there can be also in this on stage with no audience, but it's all just false. Like we have just built this up. There's no lion waiting to eat us, with that whole sort of like brain thing, the fight or flight, which is there for a reason. And now we put it onto stage, which there's no, so we've made this huge fear out of nothing. So that was one. Another gal told me she would, we'll probably get in trouble for me saying gal also, by the way. That's verboten. Her husband would drive her to class every day, and she's like, I didn't puke on the way here today. And I was like, good for you. Like, she was that nervous, and she ended up taking my second class, performing. She and I still email all the time, So there is that fear, and my whole sort of thing is just kind of get on stage here, like, jump in the pool. Yeah. I've done before also, like, if there is a show or performance, and I tell people, look, if you are hugging the walls, which literally there are walls that people, can stand against because they're small theaters. And I'll say, I will sometimes have, your teammates who are on the stage come get you. Like, that may happen because it happened to me. I remember I was doing a show. This is after I'd finished IO, all the study, all that. I was on a team. And I'd been hugging the walls, then my teammate came over. She's like, wait, what were you saying the other day about, whatever, like pulls me on the stage. So she helped me out, gave me the cue of where I am to go. And just once you're on stage, it's like, now you're safe, which so I don't know if I answered the question or just talked about everything about it, but there are ways of dealing with fear. But the first thing is you just sign up, come to the class. You've already done a lot of it, you've gotten yourself there And then when I teach, I just have people, you know, mostly standing up, you know, try and break the ice pretty quickly by doing an action that is uncomfortable and a sound. You know, like I'll do like a sound and action that they'll have to do, and then you can kind of gauge where they are. Because, you know, some people be like, hey, woo, you know, no, that's embarrassing. Sure, but you did it. And other people be like, no, you know, like hardly move, hardly make a sound. I'm like, okay, so they're a little more reserved. So I'll kind of work on them and pull more out. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, just being there, and then me, you know, supporting, and then have the team support and go. I mean, I keep saying it, but bottom line, you're not going to get hurt. Like nothing is going to happen. This fear is, it's a real perception on your part, but it's for false reasons. Again, you know.
Yeah. Question. Yeah, you did. Okay. Very beautifully, but it gives me more questions, unfortunately. So you're not out of the woods. No. The thing that so we're people that my audience especially is of the more conservative bent and more, I think our values of the people that are listening right now, and people that have my values as well, are we have a sense right now that we're under attack, you know, that we're not being allowed to live the way that we would like to live, or our choice would to be able to do that, just with respect to our values. And so we are constantly being challenged, you know, like, no, why are you doing that? Do this. Why do you believe this way? Believe this way. And it's getting to a point where, you know, it's going to be difficult to earn bread, you know, to feed our families if we continue to believe what we believe. So the question that I have is, and I'll step back just a little bit. Why is those, like that woman that was puking on the way to class, what was worth it for her? Like, why do it? And then, you know, the second part of that would be, how do we apply that type of desire? Like, we're okay with puking before a conversation because we firmly believe that it's worth it to have that conversation and stand up for what we think or what we believe. So why was it worth it for that girl, or for these actors or these improv artists, to keep doing it?
That's a good question. First of all, to clarify, she never did puke. She thought she, hey, I don't know. That's one that I definitely, and that's the thing in talking to her, I'll say like that. I did so admirable. You have to say that because you're my coach. No, like if I was that nervous, and I've been that nervous, I don't know. I think it just was a lot of these folks, I think too, that do sign up. It's like, this is something, same kind of thing as I said at the beginning, is like, this scares me. We should do things that scare us. And, you know.
Why, Mike? Why?
I think that's just kind of the zeitgeist. And I don't know if it's necessarily always true, because a lot of stuff scares me that I don't, you know, like the rattlesnake. I'm not going to pick it up. You should. No, I don't. That's cool. I don't need to do that. You know. But you know, we're pushed out of our comfort zone, which I think to a degree is, again, just to answer the zeitgeist of that, I think it is important. And I think, and I'm actually thinking right now, a lot of it is because you see that you will succeed to a degree if you just try something, you know. I mean, I jumped out of an airplane, you know, back in the day with, you know, the guy that tandem with me. And I thought that was fun. It was actually more beautiful to me than fun. You know, it wasn't a rush. But that wasn't that scary. There are some, I'm going to not get off track. I'm going to come back to that. So with the gal, I think it's probably, I've been doing this. She's professional. She does hair, actually, hair and makeup. I think maybe just hair for movies, TV, film. And I think she may have just kind of been in that point where it's like, look, this is what I do. I've kind of mastered it. What's next? What's out there? You know, what's something I quote unquote should do that's scary, and found the improv class. So I think that's what pushes her. And a lot of people, when I do ask them why they're doing it, it is that kind of well, at work, I just want to be more relaxed, or I just want to be like quicker in my responses. Is kind of the overarching idea. And like I said, I mean, you will get a lot of that. I had another guy and I always confuse us. He was Swedish, but raised in Finland or something like that. And he just was quiet, didn't like talking, didn't understand it, would stop the scene and look at me all the time. And I was like, doing great. And he ended up taking the second level. Also, he and I still are also in contact. And I think just the fact that folks just have done something like that terrified them, and found out that there is no airbag at the end, because you don't need it. Like, it just is not that big of a deal. But I think and I think at the same time as I'm talking, I'm thinking, like, what has frightened me that I've been doing or not doing? And I can't think of right now, but yeah. So again, I don't know if I answered that.
Yeah, you did. What I'm thinking of when you are speaking about facing the fear because it's good for you, which is kind of what I took from that.
I think so.
I think of Jordan Peterson. I'm listeners of this show know that I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peterson. And one of the big things that he says is, if you feel like you're lacking something, like there's something about your character that needs to be better or bigger or stronger. And really all of us that are honest with each other know that we're not everything that we could be. Where you need to look for that, for that virtue or that aspect of yourself that you feel like you need to grow into, you need to look in that place that you least want to look. So what you're saying is, well, because it's good for you to do that, or your pupils realize this is important because I'm scared of it, and that's good for me to do something that I'm scared of, or like how you realized it. It's you're looking in that you're opening that door and facing that dragon that is there, because you think you will grow in a way if you do face it that you would not grow if you just kind of did your normal life. There's no way you could become that person that you could be without opening that door. Yeah. So that's kind of what I think of.
I think exactly right. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to this. Like, it's the safety, because I'm thinking, what else would people want to do? It's like, well, I've always wanted to do Muay Thai. Okay. You get to Muay Thai, or whatever kind of like MMA sort of thing. And like, you're going to get beat up, you're going to get bruised and all that kind of stuff. Here it's improv. You're walking away. No one's even touched you. There's just, but it's the biggest fear, whatever in the US is like fear of speaking is one, and then two is death. Yeah. How goofy is that? But yeah, that's exactly right. It's like people will go into class, which is just, this terrifies me, speaking in front of other people. I don't know these people. Oh my gosh. Then they walk out, and I swear to you, this is how it happens. First day, everyone's just sitting there, just like frightened rabbits. We do the stuff, and at the end, you have to push them out. They've congregated, they've talked, they've done it. It's like a positive, what's that called? Like fraternities do stuff, hazing. Yeah. No, is that right? It's like a positive, or even boot camp. Like they've gone through this terribly scary experience together, and they are just, hey, man, what's your number? What you did? It's just like within 2 hours, you had this freaked out group, and now they're like, we are in this, we're bonded. And I was like, yeah. And that's just the beginning. That's the beginning. So yeah, I love that whole sort of like you slay the dragon. And then I think it's also confidence for other dragons. Mm-hmm. You look around and you're like, these dragons, where are they now? They're all hiding. Or two, like, I can walk past these dragons, because I have defeated the number one fear, second, or, death is second. Number one is speaking in front of people. I've done that. Everything else, let me at him, Yeah. So I think exactly right. That's, and it's such a, again, simple, safe way to do things. It's just come, hang out, do this thing. I'll guide you, and we're set. So yeah, that's right. Good job, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peterson's a smart cookie.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'm not to put you on the spot too much, but I'm definitely put in positions these days where I'm having conversations that are very uncomfortable, where I'm being constantly challenged and put on the spot. And so I'm wondering, would you be open towards giving me I would love to have like a little exercise maybe that I could take away, and maybe my listeners might find it useful as well. Some sort of improv exercise that we can practice. I know this is, in just the few minutes that we have, we can't do like something that is as useful as your class, for example. But is there anything you can give us that we can try out as an improv exercise to help maybe with the expressed point of trying to become a little more confident in our day-to-day?
Yeah. This is going to be what I'm also trying to do is like break into like corporate improv training, and I'm going to have a different sort of setup. But this is just, I'm just going to grab some items. When I do the corporate stuff, I plan to have like flashcards. So let me just. Okay, so this is, and it might sound dumb or it may not work, but this will show also more of, you know what, I'm not even gonna lead into what it is. I'm just gonna, so just what is this?
Looks like an orange.
Yes. It's an eraser.
It's an eraser. Okay, yeah, sorry, it was really blurry.
Orange eraser.
Glasses.
Yeah.
Scissors.
Exactly.
That's a highlighter.
Exactly. Okay. So now I'm going to show you an item. Don't say what it is. Then when I show you the next item, tell me what the item was that you saw before it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to show you the first item. Don't say a word. Upon showing you the second item, say what you just saw. Okay. So this one, you're not going to say what it is.
Sure. Highlighter. Scissors. Glasses. Eraser.
Great. We got it down. Now, when I show you the item, say anything in the world that it is, but what it is.
Okay. A peach. A book. A magnifying glass. An apple.
Okay. Now, here's the whole sort of thing. And you did surprisingly well.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that.
and I was kind of hoping that my point would be shown a little bit better, but not with you, the amazing. So I'll say this, though. Like, how did that feel to say anything but what it is?
More difficult.
Yeah. And because what happens a lot of times is people look at it and think, because what they're saying is, okay, it's an orange. I could say it's not stupid. I could say like they start questioning themselves. And that's where like the whole self-challenging, what I was saying before, is like you are the one that's saying you can't. So it takes a minute because you cognitively look at it and like, okay, that's an orange, so don't say orange. But you pretty quickly would name something else. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and then the longer you sit there, and you're like, oh, this is stupid. And it's so, and then you start like just the black crud of you telling you. So you went pretty quickly on that, which doesn't surprise me because you've got abilities in a lot of areas. But did you, in all honesty, go through one or two things, or did you just kind of look at it, go, that's an orange, I'm going to say something else? Or did you specifically on that question yourself and tell yourself that's a dumb answer, then switch it to another answer?
Well, I think I was more, when you said the rules, I'm big on rules, right? And so when you said the rules of the game, I thought, well, it doesn't really matter what you hold up because I'm just saying anything. So the moment you held something up, I was just thinking about something to say regardless of what you held up, really is what I was doing. And then, I'm sure influenced subconsciously. Like I said, two things of food, a fruit, and you held up one that was a fruit. So I'm sure that was affected somehow. But no, I didn't really, I just kind of followed the rules as best as you told. I'm big on rules.
Yep. But exactly. But I mean, but even someone who's big on rules will sit there and still, you know, challenge their own, you know, choice. And I hope that that's what comes across is like, that's, you know, like to say, well, what does that have to do with improv? Well, because second guessing yourself and all these sorts of things is what we try and with improvisation.
Yeah.
Try and knock out. And there is training involved, because if you just let, you know, a bunch of monkeys go, then they're doing what they want. You know, you're not going to get good scene work. So there are some parameters, all that, which we work through. But the whole idea of like the second guessing, because again, like when you're watching a show, the way we, you know, is you have the people on, you know, in the scene, and then the others, like I said, are in the wings or on the wall. And if I see somebody like start to come out and then go back, you know, they've come out, they've challenged themselves, they thought, no, they've gone, like all this thought process has gone and they're against the wall. Well, now I'm staring at that person. I'm watching that person.
That's right.
Think and tell themselves they're dumb and that was a bad choice and all that. So the whole idea is like, once you start, just go. And I've also got some you know, some exercises where I'm like, from when you're on the outside here, and as you step in, you are creating right now to speak here. Like it's like, just trust yourself, and within that second to milliseconds after second, you'll have something. And if it comes out gobbledygook, then your partner can work with that gobbledygook. And I'm still hung up on how well you did that. That was very impressive.
Thank you. Well, I think I had an unfair advantage because you and I are good buddies. You know, we've known each other for a long time now, and I have a lot of trust in you. Like when you said, here are the rules, I was like, he's not trying to fool me or trick me here. I just trust that you're helping me, you know, because I came to you for help. And so I think that was a big advantage. I think your pupils or people that might have been playing the game alongside us won't know you as well maybe, or won't know you at all. And it will be a little bit more difficult. But I think that the trust that you and I have makes things easier.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and I think and anybody playing along at home, like that was what I don't want to see, but what happens a lot is like, you know, someone like I hold up, you know, like I said, you use flashcard, but you know, an orange would be like, cell phone, you know, it's like all of that. Yeah, that's stammering, you know, and some of it, you know, is just the fact of you're looking at it, but you can tell as things go on when somebody's like, no, you're so dumb. Why would you say cell phone? Because, you know, or even you could have gone peach, apple. I said two fruits. It's, well, you know, and it's like, that's the thing is like, that's what the self-doubt and squishiness, you know, just like, you can't do anything. You know? And I'm like, yeah. And so part of the idea is get rid of that, because this is, you know, it's like the whatever, you know, we're just going to, you know, spitballing, putting the thoughts up on the wall, that kind of thing. You know, it's like, that's the time for that. You know, it's like just whatever it is, you know, then you start, okay, now I'm free and open. And then as a like an improv coach, I'm like, great. So within the scene though, now I start pulling you back in, kind of like, again, like the drill instructor, which I've only seen on TV and movies where they break you down and then they pick you up. And this is that kind of thing of like, be absolutely free, crack all of that. And then as far as doing a good improv scene, working with partners, moving the scene forward, now we start with this huge whatever, and we start pulling it in to, you know, more of like the scene work. Because if somebody all the time is always just saying whatever they want, whenever, and it's like, okay, that needs to be brought in. Yeah. But so it is that opening to then clarify. I don't even know. I can't find the word that I'm trying to say about even me right now. Yeah, like lazy. So
well, what I'm hearing is an acceptance of that you are someone that might have value. You know, you might have interesting things to say. What you think first is not necessarily wrong because you thought of it first. So I think what I can take from it as far as a lesson of confidence is if you've worked at it, or if it just came to you right away, it doesn't mean that because it's yours that it's worth less than someone else's who's insisting. Although my point of view is what you need to accept. Well, it's possible that I'm wrong, but at the same time, I'm not wrong because I think it. It's kind of what I'm taking. Yeah.
And I think especially like in your example, there does need to be that, you have to have that, the backup of it. Mm-hmm. So the idea of somebody who is, prepared in, their religious beliefs, political beliefs, whatever it is, I wouldn't just take someone off the street and go, hey, go crazy, because then that's where you get the emotion involved. Yep. And you get the arguments and the fights. But this is somebody that's prepared, and it's like, I think this and that, and they're prepared. But then if they go, yeah, but I mean, who am I? It's like, wait, hang on. And sometimes too, the thing that blurts out is, I don't know.
Yeah.
And as far as like rational arguments that you're talking about, and that drove me nuts back in the day. Like I could never say, I don't know. I had to have an answer for everything. It's like, no. When I listen to these brilliant people on the radio and whatever, and they'll say, I don't know. Let me look that up. And it's like, you got all these whatever forms, scientists, whatever. Good question. I don't know. Yeah. That someone knows and has, an amazing grasp. So that might be the sort of thing too, like in this dialogue and somebody's, doing whatever. And then it's like, you know what? Let me check that out. And you would sit there and go, well, I can't say, I don't know. I mean, I got it, and then maybe one time then that, so it all mills in, and that's, so I think the blurting of something is a good way to start. But then with you, there needs to be the refinement of have my arguments down. I understand, that. I think that's clear to everybody. Is we're not just sending out a bunch of monkeys just to blurt out and go apple, orange, whatever.
No. That was just an exercise. Absolutely. An example that helps a building block for us to keep doing other things. And that's an important building block. And I don't want to minimize that at all, but you're also saying, do my homework. You got to do your homework. And also what I also heard is beware of anyone that seems to have all the answers, because not one person has all the answers for real. There's a lot of people that are very wise and very intelligent and very learned, and they might have a lot more than me, but no one has a ready answer for everything. So if someone is just giving you an answer after an answer and after an answer, they might not be completely honest with what's going on, because it requires work. There's no simplicity really in this life, unfortunately. So, well, I guess we're simpler than most things, but still, it's difficult. I wanted to ask you though. I know we're running really short on time, and you said that comedy is dead. Comedy is dead.
My buddy said. Luke said that.
Your buddy said that. That's right. Old Luke. So tell me, what is your take then on what comedy is in general, not just improv, but in general?
I mean, I think it's always, going to be there. I think it needs to be there. I mean, I still remember way back, I don't know, in the 80s or something, there was a study or whatever it was, and now it's been done, but it's like, patients from whatever XYZ, were shown, I think it was like Three Stooges movies or whatever they liked back in the day. Because this was, that sort of thing back when they were watching what they grew up. And, incidents of healing or whatever increased. Laughing at whatever the releases are in the brain, the cortex, whatever it is. Like, I think it's so important. And I think, you have to be careful, as when I was doing stand-up in San Francisco, a lot of guys were like, hey man, we're more important than like doctors. And it's like, no, we're not. No, we're doing stand-up comedy poorly because we're new at it. But I just think it's so important. And I think from anything from just let me think about something else, I've got someone in my life recently, and she's facing this huge crisis. And I'm like, you know what? Just sometimes take a break. Just turn off, because all the brain's going to do is like my problem, and think So in the one aspect of movies, film, TV, if it's just the goofiest, silliest, whatever, sometimes it's incredibly important. And then sometimes, like comedy that really speaks to what's going on is, a higher level and, more thoughtful and smart. Okay, like that's important also. But also just on the side of like performing, it's just, it can really unleash what needs to be unleashed, maybe, or slay the dragons, as we said earlier. That's just, so I think it's very important part of life, society, all of it. I do.
Yeah, I agree. So can you tell me, is there any comedy that's coming out now that you're like, oh, they're on the right track, something that's very recent?
I don't, as far as like a major kind of production like that I'm watching or something.
Well, something that, all of us could watch that you're like, oh, they're doing, because my sense is I get a gauge of where comedy is in general by what I'm able to turn on that's coming out now.
Okay. I tell you what, I'm a fan of a comedian named Nate Bargatze. Does a podcast, and he's one of these guys. It's like he's a clean comedian, and I think he hates that label too. But it's just the way he lives. It's not like sugary sweet or whatever. But he's got some things on Netflix. I think he's touring pretty soon. He's got Nate Land podcast on like YouTube. So I've been watching him quite a bit. Actually, going to buy tickets pretty soon to see him when he comes down here to the East. But I like him a lot, and I think he's very again, like with the clean stuff. I mean, it just parents with their kids, all that kind of thing can watch it. I do like a lot of Ted Lasso. I think it's there can be a sweetness to it. There's also like, some issues as people have pointed out, like with the language at times is unnecessarily whatever, but
it's definitely not clean, but
exactly.
My wife and I watched we really liked it, the first season.
Yeah.
We didn't like it enough to pay for Apple TV. So we haven't watched the second season because we got it free for a while, but we liked it.
Yeah. So I like that. And I mean, that's just also like everybody kind of likes it, but it does also show that like, he's kind of like one of these, like he's a good guy. He's flawed.
Yeah.
But, I think, and people are like, what? There could be good guys. And that's what drives me nuts about now is like, everyone's like both camps are just evil, hateful, whatever. And if one person like on the other side of this political spectrum does something, it's like, wait, what? And it's like, when did it mold like and people like, oh, we need this and that, and we need these people. It's like, it's just we ourselves have just gone these lines, like just I don't know. There's some overarching thought going in my head right now, but with the comedy, Nate Bargatze, Ted Lasso. I don't know.
Something that we're watching is the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows. Have you checked that out? That it's pretty stupid. This season is probably the stupidest one they've made yet, but I was still laughing. It was still fun.
I think I either watched just the latest episode or the one coming up. Yeah, and that's one of those. I think that one's funny. I do sometimes get like a little annoyed now in society, without like reviewing too much, but like when all evil is okay. Like I haven't seen the show, but they have all these sorts of things. Even like Hellboy, it's like a demon, but he's nice. It's like he's misunderstood. I'm like, come on, it's a demon. Like that's just not how things work. Yeah. Where it kind of make everything whatever. But with these guys, they're just idiots.
They're bad. They're not good. They're just really dumb.
Yeah, and also though, I don't think like we've really seen as vampires. Like, we haven't seen them kill.
Oh, they kill all the time. Yeah, they're just like the body counts are just like high.
I can't even think of examples of that. I guess I think of the vampires getting killed by Guillermo.
Well, I guess it is odd. Like we've seen the vampires kill like humans when I think there was like the comedy, the documentary crew or something like that all got killed once by they were.
All right.
Wasn't that the
movie? That was on the movie, I think, and not the series.
No, that was on the series. That was like season 2 or something like that, I think. And then there was what was it? Their victims are always getting killed. Remember that? How they're like, oh, we're going off to go, and they drag back a body. Most of the time it's like off scene, but you'll see bodies dead all the time.
Maybe I blocked that out, I guess. Okay, so don't let kids watch it, I guess.
Yeah.
I like Bob's Burgers a lot.
Oh, I'll check that one out.
It's animated. I like it because it's kind of like an Apatow stuff. Like Judd Apatow. The thing I like is like it can get real raunchy, that kind of thing. But there's always a sweetness underneath.
Yeah.
Generally, I just rewatched, Knocked Up, and again, I wouldn't have the kids watch it, but the end result of what's going on, it's like there is that. It's almost like an embarrassment of being sweet, so I have to throw in all of this like more crude humor, like to cover it.
Yeah,
and Bob's is also very sweet. Like the kids are like, it's like I said, it's animated, but the kids like are naughty. But then at the end, like the kids will be like, you know what, we're family. I've got to go help my sister or whatever. Like it's there's a sweetness to it. I really appreciate Bob's Burger. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the tips. And it's encouraging for me to hear that there are still funny things out there because of how you were saying how comedy is a little bit under attack. And it's so necessary. I agree with that completely. But I know we're short of time. I wanted to ask what's next for Mr. Mike Holley. You've had a few great trailers, great commercials that I love watching. What do you have any plans on the horizon?
I mean, nothing. That's, that whole sort of, thing is day to day as far as acting auditions, like I said, I'm glad to have that Walmart commercial running now, but no, I mean, the next thing is I'm just kind of waiting, when people want to start coming back out. I was trying to think the other day, I'm like, maybe I'll rent a theater and go, hey, everyone come out. We'll go through stuff. If it's your first day of improv or if you've been with me for a while, let's run through some drills, this and that. And then, have a show, invite your friend or whatever. Like this may be like, you may come have your first day ever of improv. And then 2 hours later, you're performing for the first time ever, with people that have performed before in front of a live audience, So I was thinking like that might be the kind of like, just this kind of like mashup, and you will have veterans of improv, not veterans of war, but people that have improvised before. So your first day, maybe you'll be playing with somebody who's been, playing for 5 years. And, so I was thinking maybe that will be the next step, but I don't know if people will want to come out to be with other people on stage, or if people want to come out and sit in an audience. So I don't know. But then I thought also, I mean, so be it. If I do it, rent a theater and literally nobody comes, I'll read a book for 2 hours,
That sounds like a blast, though. I hope a bunch of people come out. You have to keep us posted about that.
That's kind of the idea. Like that would be a long day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll do an hour and a half of coaching, teaching, whatever, or hour 45. I don't even know why I'm getting that specific with you right now, but yeah, that's the idea.
Like all our Canadian citizens are not going to, our Canadian watchers are not going to mind too much about the specificity.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I guess I better let you go here. But I wanted to say thank you very much for sitting down and chatting. And you'll have to keep us posted on all these things. I hope that we can have you. Maybe we can send us some clips of your latest exploits that we can play for people, because that'll be fun. Yeah.
That I actually, just in talking to you now, like I got inspired. It's kind of like, not even a fear based, but the whole sort of, well, I don't know if I just like, I'll just do it. I'll set a weekend, rent a theater, tell everybody what's going on, done.
I love it.
I'm gonna do it. It's that simple.
You heard it here first, folks. All right, Mike. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Great seeing you.
Yeah, I hope we get to chat again soon.
Yeah, I would love it.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm JP, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Pinedo Brothers Podcast, an artist podcast for Catholics. We hope you enjoyed it, and if so, please consider subscribing, and commenting below. That really helps. This episode was edited and recorded by me, JP. Makeup was done by no one, if you couldn't tell. The Pinedo Brothers are Catholic filmmaking brothers working to revitalize the world of Catholic art through film. For more information on us, check us out at pinedobrothers.com. Thanks again.